Ambassador Elena Vasquez adjusted her crisp diplomatic uniform as she entered the grand assembly hall of the Galactic Council Station. The massive chamber stretched beyond the horizon of most species' vision, its crystalline walls refracting the light of distant stars into prismatic rainbows that danced across the faces of representatives from 47 different worlds. She was the only human in the room. The Zephyrian Chancellor, a towering creature with translucent blue skin and 4 arms, gestured dismissively as Elena approached the speaker's podium. "The Terra delegation may present their proposal," he said, his voice carrying the subtle harmonics that conveyed condescension in his species' language. Elena smiled. It was a predator's smile, not the baring of teeth that most species interpreted as aggression, but something far more dangerous. It was the smile of someone who knew exactly what cards they held and how to play them. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems. 3 months ago, the hegemony of Krath issued an ultimatum to 17 worlds in the Outer Rim. Submit to their rule, or face annihilation. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Krath delegate, a armored insectoid creature, clicked its mandibles in what Elena recognized as irritation. "Those worlds," Elena continued, "produce 70% of the galaxy's rare earth minerals. The Krath demanded not just political submission, but exclusive mining rights. When the worlds refused, the Krath deployed their war fleets." She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the assembled representatives. Most avoided her eyes. Humans had an unsettling habit of maintaining direct eye contact that made other species uncomfortable. The Galactic Council condemned the action. Strongly worded resolutions were passed. Economic sanctions were discussed, then quietly shelved when various species realized how much their own economies depended on Krath trade routes. The Altarian representative, a crystalline being that communicated through light patterns, flickered nervously. Elena's smile widened fractionally. "And then," she said, "something unexpected happened. Earth offered aid." The Krath delegate rose from its seat. "The human speaks of ancient history. Those worlds chose their fate when they defied the natural order. The strong rule the weak, this is universal law." Elena nodded thoughtfully. "Ah yes, Hegemon Zax, the universal law. Natural order. Fascinating concepts." She reached into her jacket and withdrew a small data pad. "I have here the casualty reports from the Outer Rim conflict." The chamber fell silent. 17 worlds. Combined population, 4.2 billion sentient beings. Krath projection for total conquest, 6 months. Acceptable civilian casualties, 35%. She looked up from the pad. "Those were your own strategic documents, Hegemon. Leaked, I'm afraid, by sources within your own military command." Zaxith's mandibles spread wide, the Krath equivalent of sputtering in rage. "Impossible. Those files were secured beyond the reach of any known hacking technique?" Elena's predator smile grew more pronounced. "You're absolutely right. Which is why we didn't hack them. We asked nicely." She touched the data pad, and holographic displays materialized above the chamber, showing detailed military communications, troop movements, and strategic planning documents. But more than that, personal messages between Krath officers expressing doubt about the campaign, concern for their own families, fear of what they were being ordered to do. "You see," Elena continued conversationally, "humans have a particular talent. We're very good at talking to people, at understanding what motivates them, what frightens them, what they hope for their children, even Krath children, as it turns out." The documents shifted, showing communications between human diplomatic teams and low-level Krath personnel. Not threats or bribes, but simple conversations. Humans asking about families, sharing stories of their own worlds, finding common ground in the universal desire for peace and prosperity. "Lieutenant Kexhar of the Krath Third Fleet," Elena read from the display, "has a clutch of eggs due to hatch next season. He wanted them to grow up in a galaxy where strength was measured not by the ability to destroy, but by the ability to create. Captain Vorthan of the heavy cruiser Mantis Claw lost her birth parent in the Krath-Nexian War 30 cycles ago. She understood what it meant to be on the receiving end of acceptable casualties." The Hegemon was on his feet now, all 4 arms gesticulating wildly. "You turn my own officers against me. This is espionage. This is talking." Elena interrupted, her voice cutting through his protests like a blade. This is what humans do. We find the people who remember that behind every strategic projection, every acceptable loss percentage, every military objective, there are real beings with real lives who matter. She gestured to the holographic displays, which now showed the aftermath of the Outer Rim campaign. Not the devastation the Krath had planned, but something else entirely. Krath fleets arriving at target worlds not with weapons blazing, but with cargo holds full of supplies. Occupation forces that had become humanitarian aid workers. Military commanders who had quietly contacted the Galactic Council to arrange peaceful transitions of power. The campaign lasted 6 days, Elena said. 0 civilian casualties. 17 worlds now govern themselves under Galactic Council protection. The Krath 3rd, 5th, and 7th fleets have formally requested transfers to the Council peacekeeping force. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives from a dozen species began speaking at once, their various languages creating a cacophony of confusion, amazement, and alarm. Elena waited for the noise to die down before continuing. The hegemony of Krath has requested that I present their formal proposal for membership in the Galactic Council, she said, producing another document. They wish to transition from a military expansion model to a cooperative development framework. They're offering their expertise in resource extraction and infrastructure development to any council world that needs it. Hegemon Zaxth had collapsed back into his seat, his armored carapace dulled with what Elena recognized as exhaustion and defeat, but not the defeat of conquest, the defeat of someone who had finally found a way to stop fighting. How? The Altarian representative flickered, its crystalline form pulsing with curiosity. How did your species accomplish this? Elena's predator smile softened into something warmer, more genuine. We listened, we talked. We remembered that every being in this galaxy wants the same basic things: safety for their families, purpose in their lives, hope for the future. Even the ones who've forgotten how to ask for those things properly. She looked around the chamber one more time, meeting the eyes of every representative who dared to look back. Humans don't conquer, she said. We don't need to. We just remind everyone else who they really are underneath all the politics and posturing and ancient grievances, and then we help them figure out how to be better. The chamber fell silent. In that silence, Elena could almost hear the galaxy shifting, old power structures crumbling and something new taking their place, something built not on strength or fear, but on the radical idea that everyone deserved to be heard. She gathered her papers and stepped down from the podium, her work complete. Behind her, 47 species began the difficult, messy, ultimately hopeful process of learning how to talk to each other like human diplomats did. Like predators who had evolved past the need to hunt,